Germany. Germany entered World War I after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand triggered a dispute between Austria Hungary and Serbia. Germany supported Austria Hungary with a blank check, and when Russia mobilized in support of Serbia, Germany viewed the mobilization as a direct threat and declared war. This decision placed Germany at the center of a widening conflict. Germany relied on the Schlieffen Plan, which directed German forces to move through Belgium to defeat France before turning east toward Russia. The plan brought the United Kingdom into the war due to its treaty commitments to Belgium. Germany then fought on the western and eastern fronts, while coordinating with Austria Hungary. Throughout the war, Germany managed large conscript armies, extensive supply systems, and continuous operations across multiple fronts. The British naval blockade restricted food and materials, creating internal strain and weakening the German war effort. In 1918, Germany attempted a final offensive, but could not maintain pressure. Military failure, public unrest, and political shifts forced Germany to accept an armistice. United Kingdom. The United Kingdom entered World War I after Germany violated Belgian neutrality. Britain had long-standing commitments to maintain access to continental ports and prevent any single power from controlling the Channel coast. When Germany advanced into Belgium, the British government issued an ultimatum and then declared war when the ultimatum was ignored. This action placed Britain in direct conflict with Germany and its partners. Britain deployed the British Expeditionary Force to support France on the Western Front. It later expanded its involvement by raising large volunteer and conscript armies. Britain also coordinated operations across multiple regions, including the Middle East, Africa, and naval zones around Europe. The Royal Navy enforced a blockade against Germany that limited food and material imports, creating pressure on the Central Powers throughout the war. Britain relied on industrial output, imperial resources, and cooperation with Allied states to sustain the war effort. By 1918, British forces participated in major offensives that pushed German forces back, contributing to the final collapse of German resistance and the signing of the armistice. France. France entered World War I after Germany declared war and moved forces toward the French border. France had long-standing commitments to Russia and viewed German mobilization as a direct threat to its territory and security. Once hostilities began, France committed its forces to large engagements along the Western Front. French military operations focused on defending national territory and preventing German advances toward key regions. As the front stabilized, France coordinated closely with the United Kingdom and later the United States, integrating combined operations across trenches, supply lines, and strategic positions. Fighting took place along a continuous front that stretched from the Belgian border to the Swiss frontier. France mobilized large conscript armies and reorganized national industry to support the conflict. The government coordinated transportation networks, equipment production, and food distribution to sustain prolonged warfare. By 1918, French forces took part in major counteroffensives that pushed German forces back. Continued resistance, growing Allied strength, and coordinated pressure contributed to Germany's decision to request an armistice, ending active combat in France. Russia. Russia entered World War I after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand led Austria Hungary to issue demands on Serbia. Russia saw these demands as a threat to its influence in the Balkans and to the security of Slavic populations in the region. When Austria Hungary prepared military action, Russia ordered mobilization to protect Serbia. German leaders viewed this mobilization as a direct challenge and declared war on Russia, bringing Russia into the wider conflict. Russia relied on pre-existing mobilization plans that called for rapid movement of forces toward the German and Austrian borders. Early Russian advances pressured Austria Hungary, but also exposed Russian forces to German counterattacks. The conflict on the Eastern Front produced long campaigns, shifting lines, and heavy strain on Russia's supply systems. As the war continued, Russia faced internal shortages, political unrest, and disputes within its leadership. By 1917, these issues escalated into revolution, leading to the fall of the monarchy and the rise of a new government. The new leadership negotiated the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk in 1918, ending Russia's participation in the war. Austria Hungary. Austria Hungary entered World War I after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo. The empire viewed the killing as a direct attack on its authority and stability, and its leaders believed Serbia supported groups that threatened imperial control. Austria-Hungary issued an ultimatum to Serbia with demands that Serbia rejected in part. When negotiations failed, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, starting the broader conflict. Austria-Hungary mobilized forces according to existing plans that focused on operations in the Balkans. Early campaigns faced resistance and required support from Germany. As the war expanded, Austria-Hungary fought on multiple fronts, against Serbia, against Russia and Galicia, and against Italy after Italy entered the war in 1915. Managing these fronts strained the empire's diverse populations, supply networks, and command systems. Internal divisions between ethnic groups and political factions weakened the imperial structure during the war. Food shortages, military losses, and dissent increased over time. By 1918, the empire could no longer maintain coordinated operations, and national groups sought independence. Austria-Hungary collapsed near the end of the war, and its leadership accepted an armistice. Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire entered World War I after forming a military agreement with Germany and seeking support against regional rivals. Tensions with Russia over control of the Black Sea and the Caucasus also shaped Ottoman decisions. The empire officially joined the conflict after Ottoman naval forces, operating under German command influence, carried out actions against Russian ports. Russia responded with a declaration of war, bringing the Ottomans into the wider conflict. Ottoman strategy centered on defending territory across several regions, including the Caucasus, Mesopotamia, and the Sinai. Commanders directed operations using limited resources spread across long distances. The Ottoman leadership also coordinated with Germany on joint campaigns, including attempts to disrupt British positions and supply routes. Major fighting occurred at Gallipoli, where Ottoman forces prevented Allied attempts to seize control of the straits. The empire also faced internal pressures, regional uprisings, and logistical difficulties throughout the war. By 1918, sustained losses and advancing Allied forces weakened Ottoman resistance. The empire signed the Armistice of Mudros, ending its participation in the conflict. United States. The United States entered World War I in 1917 after remaining neutral during the early years of the conflict. Several events influenced the decision to join the war, including Germany's use of unrestricted submarine warfare, which damaged U.S. shipping and caused American casualties. The interception of the Zimmermann telegram, in which Germany encouraged Mexico to consider conflict with the United States, increased tension and shifted public and political opinion. After these developments, the U.S. government declared war on Germany. The United States mobilized forces through a national draft and expanded training programs to prepare an expeditionary army for deployment to Europe. American troops operated under the American Expeditionary Forces, led by General John Pershing, and took part in major campaigns on the Western Front. U.S. industry increased production of weapons, supplies, and food that supported both American and Allied operations. American involvement strengthened Allied positions during the final year of the war. Fresh troops and growing material support contributed to sustained offensives that weakened German resistance. By November 1918, the combined pressure of Allied and American operations led to Germany's request for an armistice. Italy. Italy entered World War I in 1915 after remaining neutral during the first months of the conflict. Although Italy had been part of the Triple Alliance with Germany and Austria Hungary, its treaty obligations did not require support for offensive action. Italian leaders saw an opportunity to gain territory along the Austrian border and negotiated the Treaty of London with the Allied powers, which promised land gains in return for military participation. After these negotiations, Italy declared war on Austria Hungary. Italian strategy focused on offensives along the Isonzo River and the mountainous regions of the northeastern front. These operations required extensive movement in difficult terrain and produced repeated engagements with Austria Hungary. Italy also faced challenges in coordinating supply lines and maintaining troop strength in high-altitude areas. In 1917, Italy experienced a major setback at Caporetto, which forced a large withdrawal and required Allied assistance. After reorganizing command structures and receiving support from Britain and France, Italy stabilized the front. In 1918, Italian forces advanced during the Battle of Vittorio Veneto, leading to the collapse of Austrian resistance and the end of fighting on the Italian front.